Hey, what's up?
What's going on?
How's it? This is the new mic. How's it sound?
You sound good.
Yay!
You gotta give me your video though there.
Oh, shoot. How do I? Hold on. Okay, sorry. With the wet hair. Yay.
That's okay. We're gonna be cartoons anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, yay, we're doing it.
Yeah. Just tilt your camera a little bit so I have your whole face so it's easy to get your expression.
There we go. Better?
I'm not going to tell you to smile. You don't have to do that. I'm just saying.
Oh, come on. Oh, you mean you're not going to be like every white male on the internet, Hillary Clinton?
You need to smile more.
She looks angry. Or like, why is she smiling so much?
Right? She's not going to get it right. That's the show is called Talk Amongst Ourselves with Nora and Kealeen.
Just no big whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, the format might change people over the next few episodes. No big whoop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Maybe that we got tired always talking about stuff we didn't like and wanted to start talking about things that we do like, and something that we both share a huge passion for is television and particularly SNL.
So we'll discuss.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Oh, no big whoop.
Yeah. No big whoop. Discuss. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves. All right. We're going to get official now. You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Champagne bottle.
Break it on our own head, then we wouldn't be doing the podcast.
I know.
Okay. So welcome to episode 1 of Talk Amongst Ourselves with Nora and Kealeen. I'm Nora.
I'm Kealeen.
And we're here to talk to you today about one of our favorite subjects, television. Specifically, you want to take it from here? Okay.
Well, specifically, good television. This is we share many passions. 2 of them are television and Saturday Night Live in particular, and so we wanted to take the opportunity to maybe share some of our thoughts with you and kind of give you a space to nerd out with us about what you like, maybe some things you don't. So no big whoop.
We're just gonna talk. No big whoop.
No big whoop. let's
hold on the fall for a second and talk about the summer. The summer had some amazing shows that everyone's still talking about. Where should we start on that? Should we start with Kimmy?
Yeah, because Kimmy, I think that technically it started in the spring, but it was, one of the first big, and I think it was one of the most anticipated shows. And, I binge watched the entire thing the first day it came out.
It took me a couple days. I was not as dedicated as you were to binging that.
And you knew how dedicated I was because I kept texting you. Have you watched it yet?
A lot of texting.
Okay, what episode are you on? What part are you on? And I loved it. It definitely did not disappoint. It gave a lot of face. I really thought it realized what it had given in terms of a platform for Carol Kane to really return to TV and to show her to a new generation who wasn't aware of like what a legend she was in the 70s and even the early 80s with stuff like Taxi and Scrooged and stuff like that. And
she's the best part of Scrooged, in my opinion. I love her so much in that movie.
Bobcat Goldthwait is great too.
Well, truthfully, the whole movie is gold.
Yeah, but we could do a whole podcast about Bill Murray.
Oh my God, yeah.
Maybe later.
Yeah.
But I think I was really impressed with how they expanded her role, and she wasn't just some like cartoonish side character. They really you felt invested in like her. They gave her a journey. They gave her a full character arc, and I thought that was brilliant. And it spoke to like gentrification and neighborhood changing and mocked the hipster culture. I love that they put Zosha Mamet in there as a hipster, like casting somebody from Girls as a hipster is so meta that I love it because Girls is not one of my favorite shows.
I've never seen it. I'm going to be honest. So.
Yeah, that's one we won't be talking about.
I'm sorry, Lena Dunham. I apologize in advance. It's nothing personal. I have literally 3 DVRs that are almost full because I am DVRing 100 shows plus the Netflix shows. So I'm already too obsessed. So I have to pick my obsessions very carefully.
I get why people like it. It just isn't for me.
I think it's slightly below my age level. I mean, I think Lena Dunham is sort of a Gen Xer, but she's more of a millennial. I don't know. I'm a Gen Xer.
She's a millennial.
And I'm smack towards the end of Gen X, but firmly in Gen X.
I am actually literally like the first year you could be considered a millennial.
Right. So I think that the viewpoint is very on point for millennials, which I think is really good that there's a show that's speaking to them, but it's like not. But it's almost,
I would not want to be like, if I were more around like, late 20s, or 30, I would not want to be associated with them because they live very much in their unaffected bubble. And I hear lots of millennials saying, don't talk about us like we don't care about anything. And it's like, well, talk to the millennials who are making programs depicting you. Anyways, getting back to Kimmy Schmidt.
Anyway, girls rant over.
But I mean, and Ellie Kemper, you want to talk about a role that was somebody was just made for.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would have liked to have seen John Hamm in more than just one throwaway scene.
I think for season 3, we're going to see more of that just because of what's happening. So I think it was just a setup, throwing John Hamm out there with the massive, ponytail and beard. That was great. His terrible hair and beard.
Well, and I really enjoyed what they did with Titus and his romance with Mikey, in that it didn't feel like it was trying to be anything other than giving a main character a normal relationship.
Yeah.
And I love how they actually, like, when he went to dinner at his, big Italian family's house, Titus actually gets upset that they're not upset that he's gay, because he was like, I wanted this big confrontation. I was so prepared. Yeah. And then they're unexpectedly like, okay, no big whoop, you're gay.
So but I love that he does the musical number anyway.
Yes, so. And he finds a reason. But that shows, like, if somebody's tolerant in one area, there's always going to be some sort of profiling or bigotry right around the corner.
Yeah.
Speaking of, how do you feel about the more controversial, like, characters and plot lines in Kimmy Schmidt?
Are we talking? No, of course we're talking about Jenna's character.
Yes.
Who is Native American, but she has blonde hair and blue eyes because she puts contacts in. But
I don't, like, my issue with that is explaining that there's a reason for that and make it okay to cast a white actress as a Native American.
The thing about it is that I understand the uproar over it, because there are a huge list of Native American actresses who could have easily done this role and worn a blonde wig and yada yada. But the role itself was specifically written for her, as we know. You can tell from the character. But I think what they did with the storyline in the second season, because this wasn't revealed until season 2, that she's actually, sort of a runaway from a Native American, from a reservation kind of thing. I think that they did that because Tina Fey wanted to talk about the fact that the Redskins won't change their name. They just won't do it. They're just sticking on it. And so I think she wanted to talk about it in the way Tina Fey talks about everything, which is with a ton of humor. And in order to do that, taking Jenna's character and then making it this sort of like other thing, I think was brilliant in a way. They did cast well-known other Native American actors around her who were in on the joke. And so I like that. I think that for some people it's a blackface kind of thing and they get very upset about it, but I didn't see it as that. I saw it as, we're trying to tackle this issue that is very upsetting that people aren't even talking about. And we're going to put some legs behind it. And then, you know, I mean, of course, this year we have the Standing Rock situation where the protests are happening and over 50 native tribes from America, South America, and Canada have now united to stand against this pipeline. And I think that shows like Kimmy Schmidt, even though it's a tongue-in-cheek approach to, you know, racism against Indigenous people, I think it put a spotlight on something we don't talk about in this country and actually opened doors for the conversation that's happening now, even though it's still not happening enough in the mainstream media at all. I mean, when those idiots were hole up in the bird sanctuary in Oregon, they were on every channel every day for hours at a time. And not one camera is in North Dakota looking at what's happening with these people. Yeah. And it's gross to me. But I think that the controversy of Jenna playing this character was way overblown because, and once again, this is a comedy. This is not something that's trying to in any way degrade Native Americans. And I think that it actually made them come off in a good light because Jenna's character is such an outcast in that community that they're just like, you do you, and like, we're going to do us kind of a thing. And so I think it also shows, though, when you're a Native American in this country, in America, and you're growing up and you're watching television, where's your representation? Exactly. And so this is, it's also, I think, just a talking point on the influence of television and media on children in general. Because if I, as a parent, I'm looking at TV, I'm looking at what my kids are watching, and I'm seeing little girls watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians and all these other reality trash shows. And what do those shows tell young girls? You have to alter your body, you have to put on makeup, you have to do all these, you know, you got to twerk, you got to do all this crap to attract someone. And that's your whole goal, is to attract someone into your life that's then gonna, you know, take care of you and give you money and whatever, and you're gonna have all this stuff. Like, that's the goal of life. And whereas in this show specifically, like, Jenna's parents are like, I don't understand what was wrong with what we had here. We're in tune with the earth. We're living a good life. We're good people. You know, you never didn't have anything, right? But that wasn't enough for you. So I think it's a good message. I think that people got the shock factor of it. I think might have been too much for people, you know, but see, this is where, but you have to understand, this is Tina Fey, and she's going to take an issue and she's going to shove it in your face and make you think about it and talk about it. And that's, I think, mission accomplished, because people were talking about it and at least discussing Indigenous peoples and what they would think about it and stuff, instead of not discussing it at all.
Also, it was wonderful to see David Cross really get to flex his acting chops in terms of, like, yes, there were funny things and really weird, quirky things about his character, but he essentially played a good guy with a good heart. Yeah. And he doesn't get the opportunity to play those kind of characters very often. And it was really nice to see him pull that off so successfully.
Yeah. Mostly he's just playing a creep. And so I was like you, it was refreshing to see him play like a nice human.
Yeah. He either plays somebody who's just completely like off, you know, on another planet, or like the worst human being ever.
Yeah, pretty much. And so it was nice. It was nice that he was like the nice person in his family and everyone else was just sort of gross.
But at the same time, he wasn't like a total pushover. He helped make her transition to, you know, a more genuine human being believable. And I agree, like the whole Native American thing, and also the Dong storyline. Dong is a character, guys, by the way.
Yes, YouTube, it's a character. It's not, we're not trying to swear.
Well, we're not trying to talk about like the corn version of, you know, the Break Me Off Kimmy Schmidt or something.
What?
I don't know.
Now somebody's going to make that. You should have trademarked that, because now someone's going to do it.
Yeah, I'm sure the money would just come rolling in. I'm in the wrong. Never mind. I'm not going to go there.
I'm going to keep it classy here with a capital K.
But I do agree. Like, I understand why it's potentially problematic, but I think the positive aspects of how those storylines and characters are written outweigh the problematic element.
Yeah.
And I love how they they did address something. I mean, Tina Fey says she doesn't listen too much to any kind of internet chatter or backlash over something. And I understand why, because you want to keep your writing true to, your vision. But you could tell that there were some things that they were listening to in terms of, like, I love how they took care of the borderline offensive accent that they gave Dong in the first season by saying he watched, like, his English got so much better because he had been watching episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
And that's great.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah. And also addressing, like, okay, Kimmy's actually obviously, got PTSD and she's basically a survivor of sexual assault. Mm-hmm. We can't just pretend like that isn't part of it. And they handled that really well by, proving she wasn't ready to date. She needed to go to therapy. And Tina Fey, I don't remember the last time I enjoyed her. I mean, even more than Liz Lemon in the last few seasons of 30 Rock. I enjoyed her. Andrea, the therapist, character. Drunk Tina Fey might be my favorite Tina Fey.
I think it's absolutely the best Tina Fey, without a doubt. Like, I love the whole thing. I mean, for me, Kimmy Schmidt is almost like a bit of therapy for me, watching because of, first of all, second season, when they, they're out of the cult, and then the other sister goes into basically the Sea Organization. And their cosmology. That was one of the best parodies of Scientology that has ever been done. And Tina Fey has done that more than once. She did it on 30 Rock. Now she's doing it here. But it's they just nailed it so hardcore, because for me, I laughed so hard. I mean, I was crying. I was laughing. It hit me in all the right places. And the fact that they deal with Kimmy's PTSD in a way that isn't, I don't know what I want to say. Like, they're not trying to lessen it. They're not trying to make it like it's not a big deal, but they're also not taking it to the other extreme. Do you know what I mean? Like, right. I get Kimmy's PTSD because it's very similar for me and my own PTSD, where I have a happy face 98% of the time, and I'm doing stuff and I'm, going about my life. And then something will happen. Like for Kimmy, they made it comical. She's having feelings for a guy. She goes to kiss him and then she's punching him in the face. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't understand why that's a thing, and I love the whole Velcro thing with her and Titus. Like, and why do you go crazy every time Velcro? Like, she doesn't know. And that's what PTSD is like. You don't know
what your triggers
what the trigger is. And once you figure out what the trigger is, sometimes it gets better, but it's a lot of work. It's not something that is just like, oh, and now I've got, all this other stuff. And I thought what they did with her mom was unbelievably brilliant.
I can't believe they kept that a secret. By the way, guys, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And the season finale, Kim, there's always all these allusions because Kimmy ties a lot of her trauma and not dealing with things to her unresolved issues with her mother, who basically, after she went missing, stopped looking for her. Right. And in the final episode, she goes and finds her mother to confront her, and her mother is revealed to be Lisa Kudrow, which was, I did not see it coming, but at the same time, I was like, of course, that's perfect.
And I love that her mom is a coaster head. Like, they just made up, I don't even know if that's a real thing.
No, okay, guys, I actually...
Okay, is it a real thing?
No, I Googled it. And the thing is, I bet it actually is, but I don't know if it's called like a coaster head. So listeners, if you have any knowledge of this, like,
hit us up with that.
Yeah, can you see like an A&E documentary about
coaster heads?
Yeah, my strange addiction. My speech addiction episode about coaster heads. That would be amazing. I would get the shit out of that.
Tonight on Coaster Heads, we take on the Loop-de-Loop. Like,
Cedar Point and Kings Island in one day. How much is too much?
But that whole thing, I mean, it just was like, you see now, like, obviously seeing part of Kimmy's upbringing, you see partially why she was susceptible to what happened to her.
Right.
And then the second thing is like, now you see how she just sort of, like, all the stuff that comes out of her mom's mouth is things that were coming out of her mouth already. So she had, like, this sort of thing. And in a weird way, her mom's craziness sort of saved her in the situation that she was in.
Yeah, because
do you know what I mean?
She made her into a survivor from a very young age, for better or for worse. And it in the bunker, it turned out to be for better. But yes, so guys, I would definitely recommend watching it.
If you have rewatch it, because it's that good. I mean, give it a second.
It's
watch.
like, it's comfort food TV that's actually like also near flawless.
Oh,
so and it's thank you NBC for passing on it, because I feel like
it has way more freedom on Netflix.
Right.
Way more.
And the thing is, like, they're creative about it. They don't go for the obvious, like, controversial, oh my God, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to go full Game of Thrones, nudity and all this stuff.
Or even like Amy Schumer.
Yeah. No, I like, because it's not filthy, but it's very provocative. You know what I mean? And it hits you, and it talks about controversial subjects. And that's the thing I love about Tina Fey, is she doesn't have to be in the gutter to get her point across.
Yeah, she can imply that that's where her mind is.
Yes.
But she'll let you draw your own conclusions on that and see if you can tell where her mind was when she wrote that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So, okay, moving on.
Okay.
How about you? Next, I know there's one that you loved that I wasn't quite as into, The Night Of.
Okay. I have to say, John Turturro brought it. He brung it in this show. It was rotten. It was rotten. He was so good. It just, the thing about The Night Of for me is it's a total slow burn. So from the very first episode, you're like thrown into the deep end. And then by the time you get to the end of the first episode, you're like, wait. I need more. Mm-hmm. And that's, for me, when a show does that to me, when I have to keep knowing what's going to happen next with these characters, then I'm in it. I'm in it to the end. And I know a lot of people had a big problem with the ending. They were like, oh, wah, wah, But I like the ending. I like that, the thing about television shows and finales is people think, I don't know what the deal is, who sent out this memo in Hollywood that when you do a finale on a show, there has to be car chases, explosions, deaths. There has to be all this like hullabaloo. And I like that the show just basically ended. It's like, that's life. In life, when you go, you complete something, there's no fanfare and all this other stuff. It's just, okay, and now you're done with that. Like,
and credit to HBO for realizing that the success of things like, and I'm presuming this is like why they allowed it to go the way it did and end the way it did without any major notes, or HBO's pretty good about that. But that the success of things like Serial and Making a Murderer allows you to now do that in fictional stories, because absolutely. It is. I mean, most of these in real life, it usually ends up open-ended, and I think, and again, I was not as I liked The Night Of. I get why everybody else loves it. It wasn't as engaging to me. I don't know. I think and part of me is just going, man, I can't wait to see Riz Ahmed in Rogue One.
Yeah. See.
Like, I just kept going, I just wanted, and John Turturro, again, amazing. Like, I almost forgot he was in Mr. Deeds after watching this.
I know, not every single one of his movies is gold, but I was just happy to see him really take a bite out of a role again.
Oh, absolutely.
Really do something. I mean, and the writing I thought was excellent. I thought they showed the grittiness of our penal system. And the truth of the matter is, this is really a commentary on the American penal system, because you see what happens to this one kid who's in jail. He hasn't been sent to prison. And this is what people don't understand the difference of. When you're in jail, you're not fully in the penal system. You're just in this holding pattern until your trial happens. If you even go to trial, until you're,
it's like criminal purgatory.
Exactly. And so you see in this show the breakdown of that dynamic and what happens to people when they, like a kid who is relatively clean. I mean, overall, if you're looking at, the spectrum of criminality, he's very low on the spectrum of criminality. But you see what happens to him as he evolves in prison and what he's like when he comes out. And that, to me, was the most valuable part of the show, because nobody's talking about that. Oh, I can't even count how many shows we have that have to do with, law and order type situations where people are being arrested and, put on trial. We like to show the trial part, and we like to show the running after the criminal and getting him, but no other show except for Oz, but that was a prison. That's the difference.
Right.
No other show besides Oz is really, and Orange is the New Black and stuff like that.
But again, that was
But
prison.
This is prison versus jail. And this is really the epidemic that's going on in our justice system, is this this community in the jails that is breeding criminality, because you have people like this kid who are innocent. They didn't commit the crime, but to survive in that situation, they have to transform. And when they're done transforming, and let's say they get acquitted, which doesn't happen a lot, they are not that kid that went into jail anymore. Right. And that's the real problem. And that's what I thought was really the exciting part of the show, is seeing how he evolved, how his family was reacting to his evolution as it was happening. And that guy he is so amazing. I've never seen him before in anything.
Riz Ahmed.
Yeah. He blew me away. He was so good, but the writing is so good in this film. And they didn't take I like that they didn't go to too many extremes in terms of prison shanking and all this other stuff. But you see the dynamics. You see how these things work.
Because it's insidious. That's how it is. That's
exactly
what the worst part is that it's insidious in that, it's nothing extreme. It's just this pattern of hardening, events that hardens you and makes you see the world in a different way. Yeah.
And I thought they did that so brilliantly. And I wish that more shows would tackle this aspect of the justice system. I wish that this aspect of the justice system didn't exist as it does exist now, because I think that our entire society would be completely different. But I thought the show was so brilliant. It showed New York in its grittiest, darkest. And I think that,
but still like realistic. It didn't feel like, it wasn't like Gotham.
No. It wasn't cartoonish, but you felt like when John Turturro is running after that guy and he just runs into that basement, and then that's it for that episode. My mom was like, no,
you in danger.
She freaked out. Yeah, basically. You in danger, girl. I mean, but you felt it. You felt like, where are you going? You're an insane person. Why are you going after him? So,
when you're chasing after somebody and you're just got that tunnel vision, you end up it's like one of those things where you suddenly stop and realize where you are, and it could be too late.
Well, see, the other thing is, like, my mom is deathly allergic to cats. So his whole thing with the cat was she's like, that's me with a cat. Like, she's like, it would just be the death of her. Like the scene where he wakes up and the cat's on him and he's like,
Yeah.
She was like, oh my God. Like, she was getting chest pains just watching that.
But I mean, I'll give it a look again. And I appreciate how it was a fictional show that almost kind of felt like a beautifully shot docuseries.
Yes.
So
I think anybody out there who has not seen The Night Of, please binge it. You will not regret it. It's so good. So good.
And on to the big one.
Okay.
The big one, the show of the summer. Oh, and by the way, speaking of, and this is my transition, do you remember who else was in Mr. Deeds?
Who?
Winona Ryder.
Yes, she was.
And is it any coincidence that they both had these career resurgences at the same time? So, I mean, do you have to spend like 14 years clawing your way back after
I think so.
really, like, years of therapy, probably with drunk Andrea, getting you back to where in the right headspace where you trust the material enough to take a risk.
I think so. And I'm going to say this about Winona in Stranger Things, because if you haven't guessed, that's what we're talking about. What I loved about her as a parent is I feel like, well, first of all, the whole 80s situation on the show, on point. It's one of the few period things where they didn't push it to the comic level of like too much shoulder pads and pumped hair.
They didn't wink to the camera.
No. There's no winking and nodding. This is like, that's exactly what it felt like in 1983. Mm-hmm. I was 7 in 1983, but that's what it felt like.
I was 2, so I don't remember as well. But
for me, I looked at those people and I was like, that's like people from my neighborhood. That's what people look like. That's what the bikes look like. That's what we felt like. That's how we talk to each other. And I think that's what's so brilliant. First of all, the thing that's brilliant about the show is these kids. You could take every adult actor out of this show and it would still be brilliant if it was just these kids being with each other, talking with each other. They are so good. I mean, I can't say honestly enough good things about them. I'm in love with all of them. I want to have them. I want to have a slumber party with all of them.
I know. I'm not sick of them yet. And no. I mean, please live a normal life, but also be on every show all the time.
Please, they should host everything. I mean, did you see, obviously you saw the video that was like somebody took, video of the pre-show for the Emmys and they're like up there performing Uptown Funk. I was like, why wasn't this aired on television?
The Emmys were better than they have been in years, except for that. That was the worst decision they could have made, is to do, I'm sorry, that dumb peanut butter sandwich sketch with those kids. And then have, I mean, it was cute, but when you compare it to the 3 of them singing and dancing their hearts out, singing Uptown Funk. Yeah. And God, those kids can wail.
First of all, they should have handed out Eggos. And I don't know why that wasn't worked out as a sponsor thing with Eggo in advance.
Eggo knew they were about to have the recall.
I
was like, what's 11 going to eat? Somebody check on her. Is she okay? And I was like, there's the recall in Indiana. Oh my God. Somebody get the sheriff.
We didn't have a recall in Cali, so.
Oh, we did. Yeah, everything great. Yeah. By the way, guys, in case Nora is out in California, I am in Indiana. So a lot of Indiana in the summer TV season this year.
Yes.
So it's not okay.
I don't think Stranger Things paints Indiana in a bad light. I think I think it could have been in any town in any state. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they picked Indiana. Yeah. Even though it's filmed in Georgia, which is, yay for that town in Georgia that is obviously fallen apart. And, they got some infusion of cash and that's going to be a destination. People are going to be driving there to look at that place.
Like, hello, that's when John Mellencamp was writing all his songs about the economic collapse in those Indiana small towns. And that's what it was like. That's what those dying factory towns looked like.
Yeah.
It was like, it used to be like booming, happening small town USA. And then they just like were slowly crumbling. And I think they did a really good job kind of showing that. Matthew Modine, you want to talk about somebody who hasn't been this good and I don't remember how long.
He's so good. Did you see his other show, Proof, that was on last year with Jennifer Beals?
No, I didn't.
Oh, he plays the dying bajillionaire who hires Jennifer Beals to prove that there's life after death, like what happens when you die. And it was really interesting concept. And then it was one season and we're out. And it was really fascinating because she's like a brain surgeon and she had a near-death experience herself, yada, yada, yada. But he was really good in that also. And he's so just delicious on Stranger Things. He's so deliciously evil, but so like reserved. You're just like, oh.
I mean, he's like the combination of like a Bond villain and the T-1000.
Exactly. That's a good like analogy.
The way, when he like is coming in those government vans to like, I was just like, the whole family's going to get killed. The whole family's going to die. Oh no.
I know.
And yeah, those kids
they're gold. They're platinum.
Sure. It gives you hope. It makes you feel like we're not doomed.
I look at those kids and I think to myself, I got the same feeling from them in terms of like they're going to be on our screens for decades to come, in the same way that I felt the first time I saw Dakota Fanning in I Am Sam, where you just went, who is this person? Like, they're just so huge as a person. You look at, they have a teeny tiny kid body and they're kids, and these kids are kids, which I really love also. But you see them on the screen and they are just so powerful. It's like, or how have you not been doing this for 25 years already?
I'd like to think that, and I know people are like, oh, it feels so much like, Goonies or Stand By Me. Well, but maybe that's because there is this feeling of once in a lifetime chemistry between from these kids who seemingly came out of nowhere, which they didn't really. Like, two or three of them are like huge, like are established, Broadway actors. And then Millie has done stuff. She was on that show with Mira Sorvino a couple years ago. It was about like, I want to say it was like about sex trafficking or something.
I missed that somehow.
Yeah.
She's so Brit. I really thought that she was like from Spain or something. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, she's British?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, that was a twist ending for me. Just like, I didn't see that coming, but that just makes her even cooler than she already was.
Yeah, and the individual talent, and then that chemistry really is once in a lifetime chemistry. And I love that they made, like, the one who was probably the most, like, pragmatic, bordering on skeptical, happened to be the black kid.
Yeah. He's like the voice of reason. Yeah. For the whole series. Like, guys, we gotta, like, think this through. Like, you're talking to a wackadoodle chick with a tattoo and a shaved head, and you're just taking her at her word. Like, I mean, and it's, what's interesting to me is you see these kids, they're the dorks at school. They're the nerds. They play Dungeons and Dragons in a basement. I mean, it's like, you look at that and you think, if you heard the pitch, you'd think the casting in your mind and how they would look would be so different from what's actually there, because that's the point. People who do that stuff are just people, and these kids happen to be highly intelligent and, very sweet. And it was like the same way I knew kids in school that played Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. Right. And they were very quiet, and they got together at lunch and discussed things and planned stuff out. And I think that any other kids thrust into that thing, the scenario that these kids are thrust into, wouldn't have had the imagination and the sort of like willingness to think outside the box to solve the problem that they were in.
That they were so, really devoted to doing things in a certain way, a certain procedure. I love that they had like a ritual, whatever they fought. They had a ritual.
They had rules of engagement.
Yeah. And I don't think they would. Those ended up being survival skills for them.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And I do, speaking of, like, the older child actors, oh, boy.
They were good.
Yeah, but we need to talk about Barb.
Oh, are we going to have our Barb hate session now?
You know what? She's fine. She did a good job. It was her first acting job ever. I don't have a problem with the actress.
I think she did a great job. I mean, I think that the obsession over Barb got a little too much. She represents, for me, I looked at her character and I thought, I knew that girl in school. Like, I knew her. She was the one that was like, guys, this is not cool. We're going to, But the one thing Barb didn't do that probably a person like her in real life would have done is she didn't rat anybody out. Of course, she didn't have the opportunity to. I'm not going to spoil it. But a person like that was like the fucking tattletale that would just tell on everything. You know what I mean? She would have fully ratted out the whole situation. She would have gone to Nancy's parents and been like, guess what just happened? Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that they didn't take it there, because then I would
that would be cliche.
That would be bad. But I think Barb, for all the people out there who are, adults now, and they were Barb, they were sort of the ignored friend once their friend got cool status or got a boyfriend and they never had one in high school kind of thing. I think that she spoke to those people and gave them sort of like, yeah, what about us kind of thing. And so this sort of like tidal wave that came behind Barb, I think just sort of like validated nerd girls everywhere kind of a thing. But I personally, I wasn't devastated by what happened to Barb. I mean, I thought it was kind of sad, and I think that people have had good
for Nancy, because I'm sorry, I did, because I was like, she's gonna blame herself for the rest of her life.
Yes,
and I get why people immediately connected with Barb on that level of being the ignored one, feeling insecure when you feel your friend starting to drift away to something that you also feel maybe that you're not going to experience yourself. But I expected more people by now to kind of walk back at it a little bit, because once you look into Barb, she's not a nice person. She really,
she was super negative. And then when Nancy was finally like kind of coming into her own, her reaction was like, what? Like she wasn't like, oh, you go girl, I'm so happy for you. Like, this is exciting. She was straight up jealous. She was like, straight up jealous. And I think, ultimately, you look at all the pictures that Nancy had in her room of her and Barb, and one line in the show sums it up. When Nancy notices Barb isn't there at school the next day, and she says, hey, to the girl on the other side of where Barb's seat is, hey, have you seen Barb? And then she says to her, like, shouldn't you know where she is? Like, basically these two were like a married couple, except for Nancy's viewpoint on it was not the same as Barb's. Do you know what I mean? I think Barb was fully in love with Nancy.
That's what they said. She represented like a queer character. Like,
I think a little bit, but I think just in general, because she just had, I think Nancy was probably the only person in Barb's life who was ever nice to her. So she was the most important person in Barb's life.
But for being the only person who's nice to her, she kind of treats her like shit.
Oh, she was terrible to her. Like, oh, you should just,
is that a new bra?
Yeah.
Hey, yay, slut shame your friend. That's awesome.
I know. It's just, I think I'm not a super fan of Barb. I'm not a Barb hater. I think she was a great character. I think that girl has a bright future ahead of her as an actress. She was so good. I will say the most surprising character, though, for me was Steve. Because I did not see that coming. I'm not going to say it. If you have not seen Stranger Things, I don't even know what you're doing with your life.
You mean John Ralphio's dad?
Yeah. The twist on Steve, for me, I was like, wow, hey now.
Let's just say it goes against, we talk about nostalgia with this and all the 80s throwbacks and classic tropes. Steve's arc is one that takes a typical 80s trope and turns it on its face, and it's awesome. I want to see more of that, where you think they're going one way and you're like, and they pull you into that nostalgia where you get like complacent and you're just like, you got your nostalgia Xanax going on. And you're just like, this feels great. And then you're like, what? Enlightenment?
Yeah, that was like, I was happy. I'm happy. When we get to the end of the season, obviously we're like, what? I held on to the last episode for almost 2 days because I was binging, and then I was like, I don't want it to end. Please don't be over. And so I didn't watch it for like a couple days. And then when I finally watched it, I was just like, oh, when is season 2? Like, it's just, you need more of it. You want to know what's going to happen next. And of course, they've already put out the trailer for season 2. And it's going to get crazy.
Calls and stuff.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy.
And Millie won't say whether she's going to be back, and everybody goes,
nobody's saying whether or not Millie's back.
No, well, she's like,
even the Duffer Brothers are like,
well, I don't. Well, they probably won't. They probably like kind of like winked at her. It's like Jon Snow, basically.
Yeah, I think we have a definite Jon Snow situation. But let me just say this: I'm going to bet like a lot of money I don't have that Millie's back, because she is the star. She's the star of the show, 100%.
Yeah. And the ending makes no sense. Like, and I don't think they would pull like cheap. The closest thing to a wink at the audience was that final moment.
Yes.
Opening up possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that final moment says it all, essentially. And that's why I'm not worried about Millie coming back or not. So honestly, I'm sure you cannot, if you have social media, you've seen every meme about Stranger Things. You've seen every, thing. And I even got, you've seen it though, but look, see, I got my Stranger Things phone case because it's so awesome.
Stranger Things phone case.
Yes, it's like the best.
It's like the mashup of like ultimate mashup on a phone
because
case.
Stranger Things is a mashup of E.T., The Goonies, Stand By Me, Explorers, Flight of the Navigator. You take the essence of all those 80s movies that as kids we were like, that's me. That's going to happen to me. I'm going to find an alien in the forest and feed him Reese's Pieces. Like, that's what you knew that you were going to do as a kid. And I think that this, like when I take my oldest son to middle school, these kids are middle school age, and I hear kids talking about Stranger Things. And I think to myself, if I were in middle school right now, I would have fully watched this show. Like, it is unbelievably good. It's scary. And I would have been scared out of my pants, but it would be so exciting because it would show me like, oh, this is how people humans, they speak to each other. They're not staring at phones all day. And,
Well, and the gift, they gave us so many gifts with this show. And not only was it like the gift of nostalgia, but it was also, and I don't think we've had this like collectively since Game of Thrones really like,
yeah, so it's like the debut of Game of Thrones.
Well, that there's a show that is as much fun and rewarding to watch as it is to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, like, for a show that focuses on, I don't know if ironic's the right word, for a show that is so focused on that nostalgia element, we would not be able to share our thoughts together and feel like, you feel like a community out there with the world. You would not be able to do that without modern technology.
Yeah.
So.
No, I know. And I think that this show has like sort of united Gen X around like rewriting our own history on like how cool we are or not kind of a thing. Like we wish we were as cool as these kids because these guys are awesome. These guys are like in the stratosphere of awesome. Okay. We're going to talk now. We're going to go off Stranger Things because I could talk about that for like 3 days.
Yeah.
But we're going to go on to the fall preview. All of these shows have debuted now, some of which we've watched, but we're going to do like a rapid fire on our thoughts just from watching the trailers of the show. Okay, so let's start off with Kevin Can Wait, because I'm just going to say I'm not waiting. I'm not going to watch. That's my reaction to that.
Kevin can wait, and so can I.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Kevin James, I love you. I think you're a great human being. But first of all, I don't believe for a second that Erin Hayes is your wife. I'm tired of seeing a very attractive woman be saddled to the fat, sloppy guy.
Right.
And I know that's body shaming, whatever, blah, blah. But it's like, I'm over it. It worked in King of Queens because he and Leah were much closer in age. He's 51 right now. Erin Hayes is 40. She looks fantastic.
And I was just like, Erin Hayes deserves better.
Yeah, it's just so stale. It's dated jokes. It's the usual trope of the wife is like supposed to be the doting one and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I don't buy it. It looks stupid. It's getting terrible ratings. So actually, I take that back. People love it. And so this will be the new 2.5 Men that'll be on for 4,000 years, and no one will understand why.
This is why Trump actually could be our next president.
Oh, God, please. We just took it way down. Because of trash like that.
Yeah, because Kevin Can Wait is super popular, even though it's like ratings are absolute garbage.
It's terrible. Okay, so next one, Bull. Michael Weatherly. I will say I watched the pilot. I watched the first episode. I liked it a lot more than I thought, because from the trailer, I just basically thought it was DiNozzo, court consultant.
Yeah.
And it's way it's way more than that. I will say they did put a good foothold in with the pilot episode. It's got legs. I'm going to give it a couple more episodes, see if it like really gels or not. Because it could go either way. It either is going to crash and burn, or you're going to be like, I want to know this guy. I want to find out what's happening with him.
And that's actually one of the new, like, as far as ratings go, that's actually one of the more successful ones. And I can forgive people for watching that. DiNozzo. Oh, and by the way, speaking of NCIS, guess who is actually doing a good job? on NCIS. Wilmer Valderrama. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. We haven't seen him speak in a racist voice on that 70s show. In
his Fezzik voice.
Yeah, playing a stereotype of indeterminate origin.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I stopped watching NCIS like 2 seasons ago, and then what they did last season with DiNozzo really pissed me off, and the fact that Coda de Pablo was not brought back for the season finale, and they just murdered her. Like, you know what? Piss off. I'm pissed with you, Mark Harmon. I have zero love for NCIS now. Zero.
Yeah, they love to kill off women on that show.
I know. And Coda de Pablo is so brilliant. Please, someone out there, please put Coda de Pablo on your show.
But not on CBS, ideally.
Please. Okay, the next one's up is The Exorcist. Now, I'm not a horror person. I'm not a scary person. This thing looks scary as hell. But then the twist for me was Gina Davis is in it. And so then I was like, now I kind of want to see it. And this got out of all of the shows that were reviewed critically, this is the show critics were like, this is the show to watch. It's going to be brilliant. And it's getting the worst ratings right now. People are not tuning in.
You know why? Because there was a roundtable, and there was some controversy. There was a roundtable with like creators of all the big new shows coming out, and or showrunners. And one of them, I don't remember your name because you're not important. The creator of The Exorcist, because they asked all of them what they thought about live tweeting, and some of them said, like, I understand it. It's not a huge. They're like, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I understand why people do it. Right. And this guy said it's a garbage practice for garbage people. And
whoa, Twitterverse. Twitter does not like when you bag on Twitter.
It's like, okay, so you're going to call potential fans and viewers garbage people because they actually take the time to type out 140 characters or less, basically giving your show free publicity.
Yeah. See, this is the problem when people don't understand social media, and a lot of people really don't understand social media. They just think it's garbage. They think it's crap. And it's for children, and it's for people who sit around all day in their pajamas, and they don't understand the power of it. I mean, I'll be honest, I get more news, like actual news, from Twitter than I do turning into any one of the major networks.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
People are talking about it as it's happening. They're showing you live video of the protest, of the crime, of the whatever thing that just happened.
The debate on Twitter.
I know. So the thing for me is like when people don't. They're just too old. I'm going to be ageist because I'm 40. So anybody over my age is old as hell. No, I'm just kidding. But I think it really does come from an age perspective. And if people haven't kept up with technology, then they're just rejecting it on the whole.
But it's just, and I mean,
that's just ridiculous as a show.
If I were the Fox, Fox, like, you have to know, you idiot, you have to know that's not a good idea. Like, all the major networks put a hashtag for the show at the bottom of the screen.
But can I just say, Fox is on my list for getting great shows and then getting rid of them. Just canceling the hell out of them. I mean, I can't, it's too many. Being Human. Hello? Thank you. I'm still mad about that one. I'm still mad about Fringe. I mean, come on. Every time they get an avant-garde show,
I know,
they just cancel, or they keep it on too long, like Sleepy Hollow.
And Glee.
I liked like first 3 seasons of Glee, and then I was just like,
That's what I mean. It went on way
too long.
I mean, it's like learn from Beverly Hills 90210.
Yes.
Okay, or Saved by the Bell, or whatever. Once the core group of characters graduates,
that's
done.
It. Done. No one wants to see these kids in high school.
Quit while people still want you on TV.
Yeah. No, it's just you cut it off then. That's why I think shows like Orphan Black and Game of Thrones have it right. I mean, they're telling you this is the last season. That's it. This is all you're going to get. We're going to wrap it up. You know? Mm-hmm. And I think that's really good because honestly, like Orphan Black, I love you so much. I've been just in the Clone Club since season 1. Since episode 1, season 1, the first 5 minutes, I was in it. And
I'm kind of burnt out. I'm burnt out.
You're burnt out. I don't care. I'm so happy for Tatiana Maslany.
Me too.
I just was jumping up and down that she won the Emmy. I'm so happy. I was going to say, how many characters does this woman have to play before she finally wins?
My problem was, why do they wait? A lot of times it feels like a consolation Emmy. Like they get it wrong
when the show's leaving.
I'm sorry, but the first 2 seasons, I feel like she was more deserving of it. Not that she's not deserving this year. I'm just saying, like, especially because it's like, why? It seems like the Emmy voters. You want to talk about the Academy being old and white and crazy?
This is way old white people.
Like, seriously, they seem to assume that any breakout first season performance is a fluke.
Next show, Lethal Weapon. Now, looking at the trailer, I was like, okay, Damon Wayans, I love you. I know this guy's face, the other guy who's going to play Martin Riggs, but I'm not exactly sure who he is. I like it, and it could either be really good or really bad. And I watched the first episode. I was pleasantly surprised with how they did it. It's very good. It's not fantastic. Like, oh, I can't wait for next week. It's like, oh, this is nice. Like, it's something that's familiar because they almost recreated the first movie, like shot for shot. They did a lot of stuff right out of the first movie. Elements of the backstories are changed a little bit. And I like the changes that they've come up with. They've integrated today into the show. Damon Wayans' character has just had open heart surgery. He got shot. He had to have this heart surgery. So he has his Apple Watch on, which is monitoring his heart rate constantly. And there's scenes where it's like, and it's very funny. And the timing between the two of them is very good. So I think the dynamic is good. I think it's something that could be built on. I have to see what happens in the second episode.
Well, it does look like it's one of the few success stories in terms of ratings and for Fox. So
it's good. The action is very good.
That makes me nervous, though.
The action is good, but we'll get to MacGyver in a minute here.
Yeah. Why couldn't it have been a MacGruber series?
I know. I don't know.
Apparently, though, to jump into movies for a second, Will Forte is finishing up his script for MacGruber 2.
Yeah.
MacGruber.
Yeah.
You didn't see my first movie, but I'm still making a sequel.
That's going to be good. Okay, Son of Zorn. I have not watched it, but watching the trailer, I thought, okay, this is going to be either a way too long Saturday Night Live sketch or brilliant. So what was it? What did you think from the first episode?
Honestly, it's somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between.
It really is. Like, I feel like this, you know what though? I feel like this would be better as like a 15-minute long series on Adult Swim.
Right. Okay.
And it's great to see Tim Meadows back, and I love his dry comedic timing is just great.
Yeah.
Sudeikis he's wonderful in the same vein of, like, imagine if Danny McBride, but imagine like if what's his name? I can't, guys, I'm sorry, don't comedy shame me for not remembering. But imagine if he got Frankenstein together with He-Man.
Yeah.
That's basically the personality. And Cheryl Hines he's good. She's good. I like her. I don't love her.
Is this like you have to be quasi drunk to enjoy the show more kind of a situation?
Either that or just kind of like, I would say that's the thing. I don't even know if I would say binge watch it, because it really is one that's like you just in small doses.
Okay.
So
take note, showrunners. Maybe it's better as a 15-minute, Hulu little thing or on Adult Swim.
Maybe as a web series first. But my favorite parts of it are Tim Meadows and Jason Sudeikis. Him trying to reconnect with his son is a cute aspect. Basically, guys, the plot is Cheryl Hines plays somebody who was married to basically a cartoon of He-Man. It's a live-action show, but Zorn is a cartoon, like, mythical superhero. And he finally comes back into their lives and is like trying to win her back, and she's gotten remarried to Tim Meadows, and it's about him trying to get his life together in regular, everyday world instead of his, cartoon mythical dimension. So it's an interesting twist on a fish out of water thing. I'm going to skeptically, stay on board with it, because with Last Man on Earth, I loved like the first couple episodes. Then I started getting kind of, I wasn't that into it. And then it really came back strong in the second season. And now it's one of my favorite shows again. So I quit playing games with me, Fox kind of comedy Sunday. I mean, it's Sunday. I just want to relax. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, George R.R. Martin and Weiss and Benioff playing games with me on Sundays, but
yeah,
my comedy on Fox.
Okay. Next one, Timeless. Now, this one, to me, I'm excited about this show. I don't think it's come out yet. I think it's coming either this week or next week.
I think it's next week.
Yeah. It's premiering in October. But anyway, I'm stoked for this because I love historical dramas. That's what I loved about Sleepy Hollow when it premiered, where you have this time traveling guy who's now in the present, and he's like freaking out about all the things that America's become. I thought that was great, but then they lost a lot of that. They stopped doing it in the show, and so I had to stop watching. But for me, this show reminded me of Journeyman, which I loved so much.
I see that.
So much, and it got canceled. So I'm hoping that this show will have legs, and it will be something that, besides just being a VFX bonanza, which is what it's going to be, that it really has substance with it. From the preview, from the trailer, it looks like that. And I'm hoping, Goran's going to just bring it home. I love him so much.
Oh, me too. But I guess because of like what shows like Sleepy Hollow and whatnot have kind of devolved into, I'm just somewhere in between skeptical and indifferent. I hope.
Well, we're not doing supernatural here. You know what I mean? So we don't have the grim aspect. We don't have the Sleepy Hollow aspect. This is straight history. So you're seeing like a butterfly effect kind of situation versus, demons and this sort of thing, which I like. I'm glad it's not another show about demons and, and the apocalypse and maybe it is about the apocalypse and I just don't know. But
See?
Already we've ruined the whole show. It hasn't even started yet. All right.
On our other podcast, guys, Soiled Western Cinema, we cover bad.
That's our job.
We cover bad movies and typically end up like through discussion write a better script. Here we cover potentially good TV shows and speculate on how they could be terrible.
Yeah. Okay. The next one is Conviction, which I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm only watching because of Haley Atwell. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give it a shot because I love her so much. That's one that might initially get some big numbers, but
we'll see.
But we have to see what happens. I think it's an interesting concept because it's not something that's ever been done before in terms of a Law and Order type show, because there's only 10 million of them on the air. So you're taking the aspect, again, a different skew on Law and Order, where you have a case that's done, and then this person's job is to make sure that case resulted in a rightful conviction. And I think that's brilliant to break it down, and and we'll see where they go with it, because we don't see how her process works or anything or what's going to happen in the preview. We just know that's her job, and she thinks somebody's innocent.
Right.
And so where are we going to go from there? How is she going to do it? Who's she going to talk to? Does she have a superpower? Does she have assistants? Are they using the internet? I mean, I don't know. There's 10 million things the way this could go. I hope it doesn't go like CSI Cyber and just super cheese on the VFX.
There is something about it that feels a little bit like done and familiar, but Haley Atwell, I love her. I feel like she wouldn't come, sign up for something.
No, I think she's
stale.
So classy. I'm excited. And then we have American Housewife, which I have to say I'm loving the preview of. Just because Katie Nixon to me is so funny. She was so good on Mike and Molly. totally underrated. And here she's bringing the same sort of lighthearted humor that she had in Mike and Molly, but with less ditziness, which I appreciate. But like when I see the things coming out of her mouth to her kids, like that's stuff I say. I think people are bugging my house and putting it on television on this show.
Well, and Pamela Adlon's new series on FX shows that there is definitely an audience for this. And she's great at being like...
And I think her series is even better. Do you know what I mean? In some aspects, because it's comedy, but it's far more self-deprecating because it is loosely based on her own life.
Right.
Versus this, which is going to be more towards like the Goldbergs, the middle, Modern Family kind of comedy, where it's a little more slapsticky, but still within the realm of reality.
A more family-friendly Eastbound and Down, which
pretty much
also wonderful.
Pretty much.
Like she's really good at striking that line between like wild card and voice of reason.
Yes, and I think I'm going to give it hope. I hope that somebody does some promotion for it and she does well because I think she deserves it. And she's good.
Absolutely.
Okay, then we have No Tomorrow, which basically all I could write down from watching the trailer was an apocalypse rom-com.
When Harry Met Sally the Day After Tomorrow.
Pretty much. And so I'm like, okay, do I want to watch something about the apocalypse? Could this be really good? Is the message positive? I don't know. I mean, I look at these two people and I think, okay, I could see them hooking up. I see the chemistry, so I appreciate that. But I feel like, I don't know, like, you know, we have Last Man Standing and we have Last
Man on Earth.
Thank you, Last Man on Earth. And we have these other things. We had the
Apocalypse one.
With Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Me, You, and the Apocalypse.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know.
It's been done. Give us a break.
Yeah, I'm done with the apocalypse. It's already, this election is the apocalypse. I don't need any more apocalypse.
I never watched a Roland Emmerich movie and thought, gee, like, how would this be as a Nora Ephron movie?
No. Okay, on to Notorious. Now, let me just say this. I love Piper Perabo. Okay, I'm a huge fan of Piper Perabo.
I watched this.
Okay, so I'm going to get your take, but I'm just going to say this. This, to me, feels the same way when I saw the preview of Grey's Anatomy, and I know I'm going to get massive amounts of hate right now. I am not a fan of Grey's Anatomy. I am a Shonda Rhimes super fan. But to me, when I saw the first few episodes of Grey's Anatomy, I was like, oh, this is the softcore porn version of ER. Like, that's how it came across to me. And that's how this show is coming across to me. Like, softcore porn version of a publicity show.
No, it's a more well-written, like, USA guilty pleasure type show.
Like Suits.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pantsuits.
Okay. But would you keep watching it, or are you done with one episode?
No. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Okay, I might have to give it a chance then.
It's interesting to see the different levels of manipulation, and it's gradually revealed how she's like, you think maybe she's out of the loop on some stuff, or like there are people who think that they're in the loop, but she's playing them as well. I mean, there's like these multiple levels of manipulation.
I'm gonna have to give it a shot then. I'm gonna have to give it a shot.
And I love Daniel Sunjata. I love him. I'm so happy to see him on TV.
He is a good-looking man.
Yes, he is.
And he's a good actor.
Yep.
So it's a good combo. All right.
Twofer.
It is twofer. Okay, Speechless. Now, let me just say this. I don't want to see it. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Fun. It was fun.
I love Minnie Driver, but I'm just over her being the overbearing, eclectic mom. Like, I'm sorry, Minnie. I don't like it. I couldn't watch, oh crap. Now I can't even think of the name.
About a Boy?
No. Oh, I couldn't watch that show either. No, the one that I think just got renewed for the second season with Martha Plimpton.
Oh, that one that's based on Dan Savage's life. I don't care for that show.
No, I don't care for that show.
But I like this one.
These mom characters are like the same. It's like, can't there just be a mom who can be stressed out, whatever, but can't you just like it's
deeper than that though. It's like she's so
I know, but it's like I have an autistic kid. Okay, I understand what that means to fight for your kid with special needs and all this other shit. But it's like, it's just, I know, and having a kid with special needs, you meet other parents with special needs. And I've met people like this woman, and I don't go to parties at their house because they're annoying. Their kid isn't annoying. No. They are annoying. That's what I'm not liking about the show. I think this kid is brilliant. He's a really good actor. Again, the casting of the children, very, very good.
And I like that, what's his name from Reno 911 plays his aide. And he looks like he's going to be... The chemistry is really good.
Okay. I can't. I'm just not... I just want people to know it's okay to not like this show. You're not somehow prejudiced against handicapped people if you're not digging on this show.
I didn't expect to like it as well as I did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I always wish success for people. It's just not going to be on my DVR. That's all.
Well, and it's actually more the focus is on the children, especially the son. And I think it points out how, these kids, for simply being quote unquote normal, get ignored.
Yeah.
And the struggle to find yourself in that type of family dynamic.
Yeah.
But and the dad character is a little bit more layered and nuanced than those typical
okay.
Yeah, he's he tries to calm her down, and he's got a genuinely good relationship with all his kids.
That's good.
So
that's refreshing.
He knows exactly who she is and understands why she's so hard to deal with.
Okay.
So yeah. So it's
there you go. Split vote, kids. So make your decision.
Yeah.
We got a few more here. We're going to go through this quickly. Frequency. Okay, this preview looked awesome, but the only thing I could think of in the preview for the first episode, how is this going to be more than one episode? How do you make a show out of this? I mean, to me, you're redoing the movie, so then how is it more than one episode?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my only problem with the show is I'd have to see where they're going to go from there and how it goes. But I think it works. I think that I like the people that they cast. I liked what's happening, but I'd have to see where it's going to go because I feel like it's one episode and then they're out.
There are too many. I feel like there are also especially this year, there are too many TV adaptations of
film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people already watch more TV now more than they go to the movies. So
it's true.
There's room for plenty of fresh ideas. We don't need to keep doing the reboot.
A lot of room. Okay, now we have The Good Place.
Oh,
okay. I watched the pilot, the first half hour, because they premiered it in an hour with the first 2 episodes, and I only watched the first half. I liked it way more than my mom did. We watched it together. She was not digging the show. She did not laugh once. I thought it was funny. I thought it was very dry humor. I think Ted Danson is brilliant in the show. And
Kristen Bell's perfect.
She's so good. She's so good.
I have not liked her this much probably in anything except maybe those Samsung commercials.
You like Veronica Mars?
Controversial. Okay. I know. I thought she was kind of annoying.
Okay. Well, I liked Veronica Mars.
I know. Everybody I love loves Veronica Mars.
But I think she's brilliant in this. And I think that her comedy chops have come so far.
Exactly.
And she's really coming into her own. And I like what she's doing right now. I like it. I think it's a funny show. It's fun. It's just a total, it's a lark. It's not, this is in no way serious. And I have some ideas of what's going to happen. And I hope that they come true because I think it's got a good direction. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to watch more.
Yeah. And I have seen the 3rd episode as well. And
okay.
It made me really eager
for
next week.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So
okay.
As long as they can keep it up, The Good Place is my good place on Thursday nights.
Okay. And then we have Pitch, which I haven't seen it. I'm going to full disclosure. When I saw the preview, I got the chills because I started playing softball at 12. And I thought, this is such an inspirational thing. This could be really good for young girls. And I love that the MLB is on board and is fully a part of the show and is encouraging them to show the MLB in this positive light of inclusiveness. But I haven't seen it. But from the trailer, I think everyone should give it a chance. That's what I'm That's what I'm thinking.
I've heard good things. I think it's something I might binge watch after it's been out for a while.
That's probably how I'm gonna do it. Just like boom, boom, boom.
At the same time, maybe we need to watch it because the ratings have not been great. Yeah. The reviews have been good. Ratings have not been great.
Same thing with The Exorcist. Great reviews, crappy ratings.
The Exorcist and fuck that showrunner.
All right, second to last show here. Designated Survivor. I saw it.
I did too.
I loved it. Me
too.
I feel the same way about the first episode of the show that I did about Quantico last year. I was sucked into it. Yes. I want to know who did this. How did they do it? What else is coming? Who's, and I paused it at one point and I said to my mom, I said, you see all these people he's talking to right now before everything went down? I was like, which one of these people is going to survive? Because that's my number one suspect. Mm-hmm. In the conspiracy. So I love where they're going with this. I love what Kiefer's doing in this so far. He's just so like dad guy with his Cornell sweatshirt, and he's like with his like nerd glasses, and he's just like not the guy for the job. He is not Jack Bauer, everyone. He is not here to save the day. I love it. He's love like the toned down Kiefer.
He's like a mild-mannered liberal in this.
Total. I think it's fantastic. I think this is the most brilliant move Kiefer Sutherland has made in his career since he did Stand By Me and The Lost Boys. And this could possibly completely reboot him as an actual actor. And I'm so happy. So happy for him.
You know what it did? It reminded me of those great political thrillers from the early and mid-90s.
Yes. Yes.
Like In the Line of Fire and Absolute Power.
Yes.
And all those I those are great. Like just sit down and just they've got your attention.
Yeah.
And so
I think it's brilliant. I'm excited. Maggie Q. I love her. I want to see her kicking lots of butt in this show.
I want her to be on a show that finally she was on Stalker. I love Stalker.
Oh yeah.
I thought that should have gone longer.
Yeah, no, she is such a good actress. I love seeing her in everything. So I'm stoked.
Spoiler alert, when she died in the most recent Divergent, I was like, well, basically any reason to watch these movies is now dead.
Well, I knew she was dying because I read the books. So I wasn't shocked.
I knew they had changed some stuff in terms of who
she
died.
She had to go though. I mean, it's part of the it's part of the momentum.
They went off book more than I expected.
Oh, they went off book 90% of
we need to have a rant about
we'll do a whole other don't worry kids, we'll get to Divergent. Okay, it's on our list.
It might be a TV movie. And Shailene Woodley's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Oh god.
Maybe it's gonna try it harder in the press tour then, just saying.
All right. All right, and the last show, of course, which is one of the best shows that I've ever seen premiere, This Is Us. That show hit me so hard.
Oh, it's like a weep fest.
It's a total weep fest, but it got me. I'm in love with it.
My mom asked me about the twist because she didn't get a chance to see it. Here's how much. Okay, here's how much of a tearjerker this is. Although I've also had a long week. I was explaining. Okay, guys, there's a twist, and the show is actually going to proceed in a way that you a completely unexpected way. There's actually going to be two timelines. It doesn't all take place at the same, in present day.
Right.
And when I explained the twist to my mom, I started getting choked up, explaining the twist to my mom.
Because it's so emotional. And what I loved is I sort of suspected it at the beginning, but I just was so sucked into the show. I was not trying to guess about it. I was just in it. And when it's revealed at the end of the episode, I just my whole heart exploded. I just thought, I love all of these people. I love them so much. And I just want to see what is going to happen. Where are they going to go when they give you the little tidbit of this season on This Is Us? And they give you just a little fragment. I was like, oh my God.
I don't remember the last time a show premiered and I was immediately invested in every character.
100%. 100%. I am on it.
I hope you get the SAG award or something.
Yes.
For best ensemble.
Yes.
They absolutely deserve it.
Because this is so brilliant.
Oh, did you know that Ron Cephas Jones, who plays the dad, the biological dad that
Yes,
abandoned
he's
son.
so good.
Did you know that his daughter is Peggy in Hamilton?
I did not know that.
Peggy.
There you go.
He's Peggy Schuyler in Hamilton. That is Ron Cephas Jones' daughter, Jasmine.
There you go. It is a small, small world. Okay, now, last but not least, we're going to just talk a tiny bit because we just found out who is hosting the very first episode this season of SNL.
Second episode.
So, well, no. I'm talking about the first episode. The second episode is also, oh my God. But the first episode, obviously, is going to be huge. Margot Robbie's hosting, which I'm stoked on.
Super excited about this.
I think she is so funny, and I'm excited to see her improv it up and just sort of go with the whole flow of live television.
She held her own with Tina Fey in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Yes. She was like...
She held her own with Leonardo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street.
And that was like the first film role she had. Yeah. And if you've seen her do a press tour, she's incredibly funny.
And she was great in Suicide Squad. I'm just going to say that. I saw Suicide Squad. She was the best thing in the movie.
She was the only part that all the critics agreed actually delivered. And it paid off because she's getting her own Harley Quinn movie now.
Good, because she should. She was so good.
She's producing it too.
Good for her.
So she obviously has the timing and the comedic chops to really deliver here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sad we're not going to get to see Taron Killam and Jay Farrow.
I'm very sad about that. I love Taron Killam so much.
Yes.
I think he's so funny.
He didn't want to leave either.
I know.
It feels very weird and uncomfortable how that all went down. I'm super stoked about Mikey Day joining the cast, though.
Yes.
I think he could potentially be the new Taron Killam.
He could.
I think Lauren was disappointed because Taron started out so strong. And he was, and the media said this is the next big breakout star. And I don't know if it's just maybe he didn't have great chemistry with some of the writers or what, but he kind of just fell off and became less and less visible on the show, which I thought was interesting. I'd really be curious to see why that happened. And he wasn't really heavily, if you look at the past few seasons, he was not featured in sketches very often.
And I think that's probably, just from reading Tina's book and Amy's book and, all the books by people who have worked on Saturday Night Live, the culture of getting your skits on and the politics behind that and stuff can get really bad. So if he, underperformed or messed up too many times on certain writers' skits, they're not going to write for you anymore. They don't care. You know what I mean? So I think, I don't know. I don't know him. He seems like an incredibly, wonderful human, and and I love him and his wife together. I wish they would do something comedically together because he and Kobe Smulders are so funny.
Well, the movie he's doing right now, I believe she is in as well.
Oh, really?
That he's doing with Arnold Schwarzenegger about Let's Kill Gunther or something like that.
Oh, okay. This will be great. I'm excited.
And I do believe that she is in, she is in that with him.
Oh, good. I think he's going to be free now to do some more stuff. I'm just sorry that he and Jay didn't get a send-off episode because they deserved it.
Oh, I watched the season finale with Fred Armisen, which I rewatched that last week, and sorry, Fred, I'm kind of over your shtick. I just...
Yeah, sometimes it's old. Sometimes it's old, but let's get real. We're all looking forward now. Forget episode 1. Nobody's tuning in. No, I'm just kidding, Margot. We're all tuning in. Yeah, Margot, episode 2, though. Oh my God, Lin-Manuel Miranda. I can't even. This is if I could somehow score tickets to that, I think that being in the audience for the SNL taping would be even better.
Yeah.
Than seeing him do Hamilton live.
Oh
and I know that's crazy to say.
What do you think will be more expensive that week? SNL tickets, scalpers with SNL tickets, or Hamilton tickets? Oh
God, I'm gonna go with SNL for that week, for just that week. The week before and the week after Hamilton.
No, I know, but that week.
Oh, it's gonna be insane.
I'm curious to see. All right, listeners, or we'll do some digging on our own. But listeners, if you hear anything about ticket prices, that would be really interesting to see.
We'll have to do some research.
You know, like every celebrity is going to try to get tickets for that.
Are you kidding me? Of course. That's going to be, it's going to look like an Academy Awards audience.
I bet The Rock will make a guest appearance.
I think everyone's going to try and make a guest appearance. Justin Timberlake's going to be stalking the halls. The Rock.
No.
Please. We disagree on that. We disagree on the Timberlake.
Yep.
I want to see him and Lin-Manuel do bring it on down to Burritoville. Like, if they did a riff on that and the two of them, come on. That's comedy gold right there. You're welcome, SNL writers. You're welcome. I just wrote a skit for you.
I guess. But no, Kate McKinnon's trying to get her Sauvage character on there to make out with Lynn in the bar. That would be epic.
She's like, I think that we need to have one of those sketches.
And I wonder, because he and The Rock are doing they're gearing up for their promo tour. They've been doing some stuff online for Moana.
Oh, I am so excited for this movie.
And their chemistry, they're magic together.
Can I just say, The Rock is magic with everyone.
Oh, I know.
He's like the world.
Even candy asses.
He is. I love him. I think he's wonderful. I think he's so underrated as an actor. People just expect him to be the big hulky guy, but he's a good actor.
Oh, absolutely. I think he might do like the Rock Obama. I could see them doing a cold open and doing the Rock Obama when Lynn hosts.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
You're welcome again, SNL.
He could start, like, the Rock Obama could start singing, like, I'm not giving away my shot.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Or
a play on, The Rock. I don't know. I got to work on it. I got a couple weeks.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all we got today, kids. But we'll be back next week after SNL premieres.
And that will be our main focus. Most weeks is recapping the most recent episode of SNL. And you have never encountered two bigger SNL nerds. Suck it, Bill Simmons. We are the real SNL nerds. So we will have no shortage of in-depth analysis and comparisons to deep cut sketches from the past when we review it. And we're really excited to have you along.
Okay, well, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Talk amongst yourself now.
No big whoop.